So I got fired in July, and instead of applying to new jobs, I decided to go to digital trade school. If anyone has heard of I Love Creatives, I'm currently enrolled in their graphic design course, and I just enrolled in their Squarespace design course. And the graphic design course alone is kicking my butt right now, but I know it's gonna be worth it, and I'm gonna just push through it and get this done. But I am dealing with a whole lot right now. Like it's not easy. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. Um, yeah. So I went to school for fashion merchandising, which is essentially the business of fashion. Graduated from FIT, go Tigers. But yeah, my first job right out of college was literally working as a showroom assistant. That being said, while I was in school and even before college, like I've always been trying to have my own business in some way. So I've always been on the computer, like teaching myself how to make a logo or um, set up a shop, make a t-shirt, etc. I do remember one of my favorite classes in high school being graphic design, where we learned how to use Photoshop and Illustrator. And I just thought it was pretty fun to just mess around with stuff on the computer and make things and, change pictures. And it was always pretty interesting to me. So I'm not really sure why I never thought about a career in graphic design. I guess I've always had like a business mindset in terms of like I thought that I wanted to own my own store, my own like company, or yeah, my own like clothing store, or like a store that sold things. Like I wanted to curate things and sell them. So graphic design, just it never really clicked in my head that that's something that I can do and like still have my own business doing that. So over the course of my career, I sort of just had these jobs as a means to an end. I've always been in sales. Um, in sales, I've always made salary plus commission, so the money was always pretty decent. But I never enjoyed what I was doing. I always hated it. I was always moving jobs every 2 years, chasing more money. But it always ended the same. Like I would sort of hit a wall where I would get praised, but the money just wasn't following the praise. I would get all these compliments, and there would be like these promises of promotions and whatnot, but they would just never happen. So I would leave and go somewhere else that just offered me more money. But because I kept leaving every 2 years, I always moved laterally. I've always had the same title, but never really had any more responsibility and never really grew my role. And so it got pretty exhausting. And I became depressed. I wasn't doing anything that brought me any joy. Getting ready for work every day, even though it was all remote, these last couple of years, it just all felt very heavy to me. And I decided to leave, not my last position, but this position before that. I decided to leave it for similar reasons. I wasn't being compensated properly, and we also had a leadership change that I wasn't a fan of, and he was just taking a lot of money away from the salespeople, and I didn't like the direction of the company. So I ended up leaving. I was taking a break, and then I ended up getting a job at another company, a smaller company, similar role, but less money, and it just wasn't a fit. And I let myself get fired, and I was happy about that. But before I let myself get fired, I kind of was already trying to figure out like an exit plan and what I can do to actually make money on my own terms. So I had a bunch of ideas in my head around like doing graphic design, and like making things on Etsy, and just really just trying to figure out how to make money doing the things that I actually like. I was thinking about teaching yoga as well and all that stuff, but I saw a video not too long ago about someone who came from a similar background as me, and she ended up freelancing and doing, I think, like digital media or something like that. And she was making some pretty decent money. So I was like, you know what, let me actually look into like this whole freelancing thing a little bit more seriously. I think it only took her about like 6 months of really going hard on it on Upwork and Fiverr to replace her own income. So I was like, all right, I can do that. So I took a little bit of time to put together like a quick portfolio. I think I created 3 different brands, and did like a whole brand identity and website package and put that on Upwork and Fiverr. And I didn't get any like hits really. Like I do have a separate video on Upwork in terms of like my performance there, but on Fiverr, like I wasn't really getting any views on my portfolio. And I started to think, I was like, maybe my stuff just isn't good. um, and I did want to put more effort in Upwork just because I felt like there were better opportunities there. And in order to get seen, you have to spend more money. And I was like, I'm not going to spend more money on Upwork if I'm not that confident in my portfolio. So I decided that I should probably take a graphic design course. You know, it's one thing to be self-taught, but I don't have a job right now. So I should probably get some teaching so I can accelerate, you know, my learning and know what I'm doing and know what to look for. So I decided to sign up with I Love Creatives, their graphic design course first. And it's, I mean, I love the course, but it's a lot. Like, it's just a lot. And I think it's more of like changing my own mindset from being like this sort of salesperson that just has these clear objectives versus being a creative, which is so much more involved. So once the course unlocked, you know, I was pretty consistent in terms of doing my lessons every day because it was just like learning these different tools like Figma. I didn't have any experience with Figma, but I already knew pretty much Illustrator and Photoshop. I did learn some new things, which were pretty cool, and the assignments were pretty fun to do. Now, where I ended up getting stuck at and where I still kind of am right now here in January is the actual like design process. I'm in the middle of creating like a spec brand right now. And it's harder than I thought it would be, only because I'm sort of getting in my head around like the small details. It's just like putting stuff out there that you like. I feel like I'm getting hung up on like not liking something and then taking way too long to bounce back and not looking at like Pinterest and things like that to find inspiration. I'm sort of learning how to do all of those things, and I'm, you know, creating my own excuses in terms of like why I can't do it today because, you know, I feel bad and yada, yada, yada. It's just, it's a new process that I'm learning. And I feel like that's what's making this course as hard as it is because I'm not used to being a creative professional. And I feel like there are just ways of working that I need to learn that I haven't yet because I've come from sales and like a more corporate environment where I pretty much already knew what needed to be done. You know, you have email templates, you learn the product, you understand the buyer's questions, you understand like what they're actually asking for when they ask their questions, you know how to tailor it toward the benefits of the product that you have to offer. On the creative side, it's hard to separate my own tastes from what I think the client wants or what the client is telling me what they want, and marrying that to my own style. I don't even know what my style is. I just know what I like. And when I'm putting something together, if I don't like it, I kind of take it personally because I don't want to present it to anyone. I want to fine tune it and fix it until I'm happy with it. But at the same time, it's like, it's not really my product. Like at the end of the day, I'm designing for someone else, so they have to like it. And so I'm learning how to just create stuff and put stuff out there and let them tell me what they want to change. And I feel like that's a whole lot easier said than done. And that's really what I'm struggling with right now. And then on top of that, it's also pretty overwhelming because I never really realized how many like iterations are done in this whole process. When I was doing my spec work for my first try on Upwork, I think I maybe did 3 different logos before putting it together on a brand identity. I didn't even like mess around with like changing the colors really. I was just like, I like this color, I like this color, I like this color. That's it. I just slapped it all together and boom, bam. I thought it was like, this is great. So foolish me. So just seeing how much that actually goes into like actually designing a logo and building a brand identity, like for real, it's a lot. And I was overwhelmed, but it's also pretty exciting and fun. Like I do feel good when I'm doing it, but I just at this point have to get out of my own way, and sort of like it's hard like to verbalize this, because it's not like I want to put stuff out there that I'm not proud of, but I do have to take my own personal taste out of it to an extent, because it's not like I have to like it, but it still has to make sense for what's being asked, and it still has to be something that I am proud of. But it's hard to take your own preferences out of that sometimes, to just create based off of like the information that's been given and not necessarily be in love with everything. That's what it is. Not necessarily being in love with like everything that I've made and just putting it out there for the client to see. That's what I'm struggling with right now, and that's really what's holding me back. Well, not holding me back, holding me up right now. So where I am right now, I'm sort of in this limbo period where I'm working on the graphic design course. I actually did sign up for their Squarespace design course, which unlocks tomorrow. So I'm gonna put the graphic design on a quick pause while I finish the Squarespace design course and relaunch myself on Upwork and Fiverr and likely Behance and all of that as a Squarespace web designer, to see if I can start getting some clients and some visibility first that way. Just because I'm already familiar with Squarespace, and I just feel like it will be something that I feel like it's the lowest hanging fruit for me right now, so I can start making some money again, because my savings are dwindling. So, I can't really continue as I have been for the past 6 months. But in terms of finances, like, I've invested in education, so it's not cheap. Luckily, I Love Creatives does have a payment plan, but I don't have any income right now. I am renting out my rooms. It's not covering the full amount of my mortgage. I'm in the red right now. So I need to figure out something now. And that's part of the reason why I also decided to sign up for the Squarespace design course, because I feel like that's the lowest hanging fruit for me right now. The graphic design course is taking me longer to complete than I initially thought it was, just because of the way I work and how new this is for me. I feel like with Squarespace, at least, I'm already familiar with what it is. I've used it before. It's not as comprehensive. It's not as comprehensive as doing a full-blown brand identity kit for someone. It's something that I can just knock out pretty quickly and then get back on the road of applying for jobs and putting content out there around my whole web design service. So I am going to be switching gears in terms of like my actual focus. But there is like sort of like this inner conflict there, that I have all this money going out. Is this going to end up paying off? I don't know. I feel that it will. But at the end of the day, that's another bill right now. And I don't have any income coming in. And like, to be completely honest, that's probably the scariest part of this whole situation. Like, yes, I'm optimistic, and yes, I feel good about what I'm doing and this whole transition, but I am in the red right now. I don't have anything coming in. Things are being somewhat offset, but again, I'm bleeding right now. I'm literally bleeding, burning, whatever it is that you want to call it. My financial situation is not good right now. So, I really need to make something work. And hopefully this is it. I don't know if there's anyone watching right now who's in a similar situation right now. But at least for me, I don't really have any other options to go back because I don't want to. I know what's waiting for me if I do go back, and that's depression. So I have to figure out how to make this work because this is actually something that I really do want. And it's something that it does make me excited to get up and learn and put out there to create. So I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to keep you all updated. I'm going to be better at posting more. I know it's been a minute, but I've just been like going through a lot to say the least. But at the end of the day, I am investing in my education, and I feel like I picked a really great company to help with that. They're at the forefront of what they're doing right now, so I feel pretty good in my choices. Again, I know this isn't going to be easy. I know it's going to be a bit of a grind in the beginning, but that's okay. It's better than what I've been doing before. So, but if I've taken anything else away from this course so far is that it's not too late to pivot. I'm 31. I was in sales for about 8 years, and I've always hated it. I just, I was sold the dream. I was sold, you know, take this job, climb ladders. You'll have everything that you ever want. You'll make all this money and all this stuff, and it's just not true. Like, it doesn't. At least for me, like, the salary stopped mattering, and the salary stopped mattering because I was just completely unhappy and depleted. And so I decided to take this course to help me pivot faster because at the end of the day, I have bills that need to be paid now. And I'm just going to continue to work through it. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's a lot, but at least it's something that I'm actually choosing for myself and something that I can see myself actually doing for the enjoyment as well as the money. So I'll keep you all posted. I'm really excited about starting this new Squarespace design course and overall about my complete pivot toward being a creative professional. So if anyone watching there is also considering doing a course, I'd say just do it.